Let's check out the render filters. Been there a while. Under the word filter, go down to render. There are 4 of them. Clouds, difference clouds, which actually is the same as clouds, except it creates wonky colors. Fibers and lens flare. Let's look at clouds and lens flare in detail. Let me show you fibers. When you select the fibers, it actually creates this fiber look, if you will, based on variance and strength on your foreground and background colors. Now you will notice I'm applying this to this layer and watch what happens. You lose it. This is to me another background kind of thing. I've used it to generate rain, to be honest with you. There's a lot of things I might use this for. The ones I want to concentrate on are number 1, clouds. Create a new layer. Click the old button. We'll call this fog. You don't have to name it, but go ahead. Call it fog. Make sure your colors are black and white. Doesn't matter which is on top, but black and white. Go to filter, go down to render, and over to clouds, and it will do this. Now, you can repeat the process by pressing Control F. Every time you do it, it'll do it again. And you can play around until maybe you see something you like better. This is going to be fog. We like that. Come down over here, change the blending mode of the fog layer to screen. Now, screen is going to get rid of all the dark areas. You say, well, it's still pretty dang intense, and I totally agree. I want to show you how you can control things with a mask. Masks are part of Adobe Photoshop. Been there for a long time. A mask can be applied to a layer. Once the mask is on the layer, you can then paint on the mask to control what areas of the image receive the information in that layer. If we come over here and create a mask, you just click this button right here, and there's your mask. It's white, meaning everything is visible. As you paint the mask with black, pure black, things will go away. Where I want the fog is just on the water. So what I'm going to do is make sure I've got the mask selected. I'm going to come over here and pick up my paintbrush tool. Make sure I've got black as my painting color. And let's just start playing around here. Watch what happens. As I paint with black, again, you'll notice what's happening. These areas are going black. As I do that, the areas correspondingly with the fog, since we're calling it fog, will go away. And what do? Well, you just make this nice and neat. Now, you can go too far. If you accidentally get rid of more than what you want, you can paint with white, and white will make it come back. Now, we've got a rock right here. Actually, I think we'll get rid of that too, the fog on it anyway. So you're just going to paint around on the rock. Now I'm painting with the color black. That's all I'm doing. Make sure you're on the mask or it won't work, obviously. And again, this is where a nice drawing tablet can help you out. And we'll come down here. We got some rocks and stuff down here. See what we can get. Now I'm doing more than what I need to. We'll come back to that in a second. I do believe it's kind of hard to see. There's a rock right there too. Okay, now we're getting the water. I didn't want to get the water. This will demonstrate kind of what's going on here. All right, I'm going to switch my color to white. Press the letter X on your keyboard, and that'll do it. And if I go with paint with white, I can paint those areas back in. And I'm just looking for the water to have this on it. So I'm painting with black and or white, depending on what I'm trying to pull off here. There's another little rock right there. Let's not do that one. That's in the water. That gets the fog whether it wants it or not. Go around the edges, something about like that. Now we need to get rid of the fog on the bridge too. That's pretty much a straight line. Let me try this. Click right here with black. Now move to about here, hold the shift key down and click again. What you're doing if you do that is you're drawing straight lines. And in something like this, that might be actually easier for us to get it. Is just hold the shift key down. Once we got the edges done, we can then get the guy that's balancing on here right there. All right, so we got that coming out of there too. I would suggest one more thing. We need to soften it up just a little bit. Let me actually add one little piece right there too. Select again, make sure the mask is selected. Go to the word filter, go to blur, Gaussian blur. Now we're blurring the mask. When you blur the mask, as you can see, it's blurring the transition. The more you blur it, the more it's going to change what's going on down there. So we can soften it up. We don't want that much. Say something about like that. I know it looks a bit weird at the moment, but don't worry about that. Click OK. We have the screen blending mode that's helping it work, but now we need to lower the opacity. Select opacity and lower it down just enough to maybe make it look a little bit like there might be some fog on that water. And we could try one more thing here. The fog might not be quite so coalesce. It might be more moving with the water, if you will. We could select now the fog. Select that layer. Go up to the word filter, go into blur, and select motion blur. To give it a little bit more of a motion, maybe going left and right. So there we go. We've got a little bit of fog on the water, courtesy of the filter render clouds. Now there's another one, lens flare. I use that one a lot too. Let's go over here. Real sunny day, take a photograph, didn't have a lens hood, good chance I have a lens flare. So I go to the word filter and we go down into render and we go to lens flare. Lens flare will add, as you can see, a lens flare. We've got 300 millimeter, we've got 35 millimeter prime, 105 prime. It's up to you which one you choose. Let's say 50 to 30. And maybe bring it out a little bit more like that. Click OK. You say, well, it's kind of cool. You know, I've spent all my life as a photographer eliminating lens flares from my photos, and as soon as I got Photoshop, I began adding them. I don't know if that's irony or not, but the problem is I can't move that lens flare because it's part of the image. So let me show you a trick. Let's undo that. Create a blank layer. Fill that blank layer with black. If you've got it as your foreground color, which you probably do, press Alt, Backspace, Option Delete on a Mac, same keys. Now with layer 1 selected, go to the word filter and go down to render and go to lens flare. Make the lens flare on that black. Let's try something about like that. Click OK. And we've got our lens flare. Change the blending mode to screen. Screen gets rid of black. You say, cool. How do I move it? Move the layer. Pick up your move tool. You want to move it? Move it. You want to put it at a different angle? Put it at a different angle. Using a blank layer filled with black and using the screen blending mode creates movable lens flares, assuming you even want to add one.